There are many weird Linux distros out there, and most of them are pretty obscure. So today we'll be looking at not one Linux distro, not two, but we'll be doing a rapid fire of 10 Linux distros and 10 Linux, going from distros meant for privacy nutheads to ones for weebs. Distros do not have to be really well known at all, so weird distros like Hannah Montana Linux or Let's Us will not count. But these are still interesting distros to look at, and with all that out of the way, let's get in. So, the first one we will talk about today is CubesOS, a privacy-focused distro meant for the ultra-paranoid, kind of like TailsOS, but way more secure, and it doesn't run off a USB. That's because it runs every single process through a Unix VM, aka a cube for short. So, that way if one cube gets compromised, it does not affect the others, and it groups them into different categories through color coding, like for example, gaming, browsing, mail, all that, and it runs Unix VMs through KVM, a Linux virtual compromiser, kind of like VirtualBox. There was also Silver Cubes, which harms the OS even further, but the complete opposite is Chromium OS. Yes, not Chrome OS, Chromium OS. Trust me, there was a difference. It's mostly that Chromium OS is fully open source and comes with the Chromium browser by default, and it's mostly meant for developers who want to use the Chrome OS base, kind of like FlightOS, a fork of Chromium OS, but de-googled, but I'll not really get into that because it's not really that important at all. And also shares one thing from Chrome OS, and that is a bitch to install, mostly due to it not having a normal ISO file, even from its official developer website. Plus, I don't really understand why the hell you would install Chrome OS, but slightly better anyway. It also comes with a portage package manager, which comes with Gen 2 by default, since this is a Gen 2 based distro of all things. But the distro is really meant for web browsing, so it doesn't really come with much in the first place when it comes to applications. So this distro is really only good if you love web apps or Google. So for the next distro, I don't want people to get on my ass because of it, so I'll just add this little thing in the corner, and I think I'm good. Okay, back to the video. Next is Sussy Linux, which is not really a typical Linux distro, as it turns the distro itself into a game, to see how long you can last before the distro pseudo-RMs or Fs itself, aka suicide. Or if you feel really impatient, you can do it yourself on command with this command right here on screen that will harm your files, aka your internal system file to be exact. The distro has shockingly been around for a long time, as long as 15 years according to this YouTube upload about it. But besides for that, it's just a standard Debian install, so it's not really that useful as a distro, especially as if it can kill itself at any moment and delete all your files on site. Next is TinyCore Linux, the smallest Linux distro, where the file size is 16 megabytes, as most for the default version, which, mind you, is the file size of the song Pigs that is on my computer as an MP3, by the way. It uses the Buzzy Box and FTLK as the base system instead of GNU because, well, it's bullet as shit according to them. And even though it came out in 2009, it hasn't looked like it's been updated since 1999. Like, for God's sakes, Windows 2000 looks more modern than this. There was also a shit ton of additions. You can read them all on the wiki, but some include TinyCore, aka the basic one, Core, which is the same thing but without desktop, and Core Plus, which is TinyCore with more features and applications, making the file size slightly bigger at 23 megabytes. The distro I was gonna look at next was gonna be called NY Ultra, Neon Ultra, or whatever the hell you pronounce it, but the distro was so fucking insane it deserves a video of its own, so I decided to go with Ubuntu instead. It's a distro made by two students for weeaboos, with some apps pre-installed like VLC, Chromium, and Steam. You can install straight from the website ubuntu.com or the GitHub page that is also linked on the download page of the website. But besides for that, it's just a standard Ubuntu install with a pink Ubuntu icon in the corner because kawaii. Okay, what the fuck am I actually doing with my life? Like, bro, what the fuck? Next is Bedrock Linux, a Linux distro where you can pick components from multiple Linux distros architectures together, like for example apt, Ultra's kernel, and Voice rerun system, all smashed together into making the ultimate Linux distro. besides shit from Fedora for some reason. So basically, if you're some sick fuck out there who wants to use Debian, but also Arch together, and also some other weird shit, you can pick the distro all together. And the distro is so unknown that its Wikipedia page has this much text on it. And mind you, that's not as much text as the fucking Florida Marlins page had back in 2001. Next, we're gonna go from the desktop to the phone through Postmarket OS, a Linux distro meant for devices like the Pine phone and Weeble 5 and other open source phones out there. Being based on Alpine Linux out of all distributions, it can run XFCE, KDE, GNOME, and Posh, all the mobile counterparts of course, or desktop environments built specifically for mobile like Posh. It can also run Docker applications, which is pretty good, and even though it's meant for phones, it can even run on desktops if you want to for some reason, and hell, even comes pre-installed with some cheaper false laptops. It can also run on x86 devices, which is kind of rare for mobile Linux distros that usually only run on ARM due to mobile devices' ARM architecture like Ubuntu Touch. It also has camera support, which for a fast Linux phone mobile distro is actually pretty good. So it is pretty good if you love mobile Linux or just want a more privacy phone OS that's not Graphene OS for some odd reason. Next is Rebecca Black Linux. Yes, there are more celebrity distros out there besides Hannah Montana and Justin Bieber Linux. All other two of them, and unlike the other two, it's actually still supported to this day, and it's actually pretty advanced for a distro like this, as being one of the only Linux distros that have one Wayland session straight from a live USB session, and for some reason, it's one of the guinea pig distros for Wayland, being one of the first distros out there to make Wayland the default instead of X11, making it one of the most up-to-date distros when it comes to the desktop environment scene out there, and mind you, it works straight out of 2005 still, even with that shitty Rebecca Black OS logo. And yes, I'll say this again, this is a distro themed around the fucking Friday Girl, for God's sakes. And why did that song get so popular? I will never understand that a day in my life. The next distro we'll be looking at is Linspire, a Linux distro that actually got a lawsuit from Microsoft due to its original name Lindows, which sounded way too similar for Windows, so it inflated on trademark according to Microsoft. But Microsoft actually lost the lawsuit, but they still changed their name for some reason. I guess there's something avoided in the future or something, I don't know. And there's even an open source version that's fully called FreeSpire. And for the basic one, you have to pay for it for some reason, which I don't really get. And judging from the website, it looks like I'm not getting my credit card to this website at all. Like, look at the UI. It looks like a scam anyway. And shockingly, it was up there as long ago as 3 years ago, back in 2023. Yeah, really, it's only been that long since 2023. Time really flies. But it might become unsupported in the future. But Wikipedia still says support, so I'm just going off that. But in conclusion, this distro is actually like pretty useless. I don't understand why anybody would even use this in the first place. And now, to end this video, I will have it end with the best distro of them all. Or, what we like to say, the most sussy distro of them all. Among Us, a distro known to be incredibly sussy and negative 69 compliance with sus specifications. Also, it takes a whole 69 and 420 seconds to load the UI from a USB boot. And yes, I'm not even joking, this actually is a time frame. Oh my god. We don't even know who made this distro, by the way, because its full name is too sussy to even know. And the distro has some very sus store with one item, a sticker where it tells us that Among Us is down inside us. Very scary. It also comes with multiple features like a sussy wallpaper that you can download, LXQT, Minecraft Pi Edition, and a server hoster called Amongst Us. It even has its own website outside of GitHub where it tells us that the distro is not the imposter, crossed out for some reason, telling us that it might be the imposter. And if you think this distro isn't already great enough, look at the reviews. Some Ordinary Gamer says Sussy Wuzzy, Tech Hut says Chad Among Us versus mainstream distro, and MacCrack has found this distro as his new main. This proves that this is the most sussy distro of all time. It should be used by everybody to prove that they are not the imposter. So for my final thoughts, I think these are all interesting Linux distros. Almost none of these should be using the main desktop OS, but these are still pretty interesting just in case you're curious, like what I've been in this video. And shit, I want to make videos on like some of these, but these don't have enough content where I can make my own videos on these, so I decided just to cram them all together. And plus, hey, I've been thinking this idea for months, so at least since then. So, we got like a couple seconds left, and okay, okay, it's been like 10 minutes now, so I can officially end this video. And keep eating Linux, my brothers, and have a wonderful day.